Okay, everybody, this is a test. Now look for J7409 or Jewel, either one, or J. Look for all of them. Who knows what they got up there? This is a test. This is a test, everybody. Don't forget to come back. Okay, this is a test. This is a test right now. I see you guys coming in. Just hang on. This is a test. We're trying to get John in here. Hey, everybody. They're in here, John. Hi, Erica from Wisconsin. Glad you're here. Everybody hang on. We're trying to get John in here, okay? Hey, Connie Lynn. Glad to see you, hon. Glad you made it. Kevin, hello to you too, sweetheart. How's it going, John?
I just connected StreamYard to my YouTube account, so I need just a moment.
Okay, take your time. Take your time. You know how it is, folks. We have to do all this stuff. You're welcome, Erica. Hey, I'm going to give you John's channel link, so don't worry. Happy Sunday, Foxy Fox. Yes, John, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, so I had to create an account on StreamYard, so the StreamYard account is created. It's only allowed me to actually broadcast, but it's not join any links. So I need like a meeting URL.
You need like a what? Can't you just, okay, I'm live on YouTube right now. You should be able to see me.
Yeah, let me pull up YouTube.
Pardon?
I'm pulling up YouTube.
Okay. And when you go to my YouTube account, you should be able to come right on in. Hang in there, people. We got a lot to talk about today. Guarantee it. Get yourself a bottle of water, a cup of coffee, a soda pop, a cup of tea, or whatever it is you desire, because we're going to have a show. Yes?
Okay, you can hear me?
I just hear you on the phone.
Yeah, that's good. So I connected. Oh, okay, here we go. This is the link that I need.
Okay.
Okay, 1 second. Yeah, so the link that you sent me, it was missing more.
Well, it does that to me every time. And you know what?
Yeah, okay, one second. Now that I have this actual link, I think we're going to be good now.
Okay, well, we're on the air right now. So hop on in anytime. My goodness, look at all these people popping in here. I'm so glad to see everybody, folks. Tell you what, I got notes. I got this, I got that. I got a lot of things you probably ain't going to want to hear. But I'm going to say it anyway. You know me, I love y'all. You have to pay attention to what's going on in every respect. Hey, Terry, you know I've always wondered where you live. You live in... There we go. I'm going to cut the phone. Okay, the phone is cut off and we are rolling now. Now, let me put John in here. There we go. Good deal. Good deal. Okay, folks, we're ready now. We had to do all that instead of making the new broadcast all the different. I think we're getting echo because your phone's on, and I'm going to get out of here in just a minute. But instead of doing it all over again, we're doing it now. I want to welcome my friend John, and I really don't know why it's echoing. Is your microphone on?
Yeah, it's on.
Cut it off just 1 second, and let's see if the echo goes away. Okay, yep, that was it. We were reverbing off of each other. Here we go. Now, before we get started, this is just strictly opinions. Opinions only. That's what we get anyway from everybody. So far as actual facts go to some things, hey Denise, it's like we just have to bear with each other. I don't want to see any fussing, any arguing, any belligerent comments. I have my moderators in here. They'll take care of it. This is a disclaimer. This is only what we think and our concerns of what is going on. My friend today is John Ben, a like-minded, scientist-minded person. I've known John ever since my space days, and I'm still in them too. I just don't talk about it that much, but a lot of crazy things are going on. Now, John, I'm going to cut my mic off in just a second, and I'll go like this, and when I do, you can turn yours on and answer my questions. First, I want to talk about our power grid. Our power grid, okay? Now, 60 Minutes, I believe it was February the 22nd of this year, just last month, they put up a big thing about the power grid. Some of the things on there are unreal. I would like for you to tell everyone how secure you think it is. And before I turn it over to you, how many of you, I did something the other day, how many of you, if you really want to know how safe your power grid is or your water plant is, and you still don't know if you're going to get the truth, but I believe mine because the head of all that, where I live here, we go to church together, and I don't think he'd just lie to me. He might go around the corner, but I don't think he would. So far as our water plant goes, call them up, folks. Call your local utilities department. Go to the electric director. Go to the water director. Ask these people. So far as our water goes, we're still kind of back in the ancient days. Now, one thing runs computerized with our water plant, and I used to do this. I work for them. We fill up the big tanks. So far as the water coming out of the ground and the chemicals that are put in it, it's all hand done. If the power went down, we have generators. We would continue to get water and they couldn't put anything in it, hopefully. We would continue to have water until we run out of fuel to run the generator. Now, so far as our power grid goes where I live, well, we're dick, folks, okay? Nobody's done anything. Where I live, we buy our power from Duke Power Company. Now, there's like 3 major power grids, I believe. And John, you can correct me in a moment if I'm wrong, but it's like out west, in the east, and Texas has its own power grid. Now, Duke Power Company has not told any of its subsidiaries or not mine anyway, any kind of precautions whatsoever. So with that said and done, I'm going to cut my mic out, get out of here for a moment, and let John speak on what's going on.
Hi, thank you, Jay. Yeah, so as far as the power grids are concerned, they are, from a cybersecurity perspective, they're fairly secure. The immediate systems are not on the public internet due to federal regulations on cybersecurity best practices or just internet best practices in general. There are the components, however, electronically, like your smart meters and stuff, which are tied onto the grid. So is it possible for somebody to, hack the systems that control the smart meters? That's more of a higher probability than actually shutting down the core grid systems. That would take like somebody on the inside who would physically be at these plants initiating something for those dominoes to start falling. As far as the physical plants themselves, as most people know, that anybody that drives near any of these plants can indeed do things from a physical perspective if they wanted to start knocking out components to the actual grid. So there are some immediate dangers as far as exposure level for taking out grid components easily. Because if you're driving down any freeways, let's say like in Dallas, Texas, because we see a lot of areas where grids are distributed here, but you can just quite simply gain access to all of that stuff quite easily, because it's only things like a simple fence or something that's preventing you from getting on the inside. That's not to say that something couldn't be weaponized and used via a drone or something tossed over to start getting components to start failing. And I don't want to try to paint easy pictures or aid in the process of telling somebody what those precise components would be. But if you watch that 60 minutes broadcast, you would see that it wasn't by the act of a cyber attack that somebody was shutting down the grid. It was a physical encounter which made that possible. And most of the things involved in electrical grid distribution generally involves transformers. So if you start taking out transformers at strategic points, you could start a chain reaction of events, kind of like what this guy did, who was attacking one of those components in that grid. So that's kind of where we are with the grid situation. So I'll turn it back over to you, Jay.
Thanks a lot there, John. John, I want to ask, we always think of cyber attacks, taking down the grid, but you can shoot these things out, can't you? A terrorist group could just shoot down everything. Is that right?
Right. So it's something that would have to be well planned out. Somebody would have to know what they're doing and what they have to attack.
Okay, I got another question for you. What's a transformer leak?
Well, that's generally whenever something is either overloading or oscillating noise. It could be feedback. It could be anything. It could be it could be wearing down. It could be exposed to something. It could be getting saturated by external forces.
Okay, I watched that video from 60 Minutes, and I put the link up here, guys, and I put John's link up there also. Please subscribe to him. I'm asking you, please subscribe to John's homepage, YouTube homepage. He puts out very, very good information. And be sure and watch the 60-minute video. The link, I've put it up. Scroll up, you'll find it. I put it up just a while ago. And yes, thank you, Wayne, very, 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 very much. Now, during this 60-minute broadcast, you guys watch it. I'm not just telling you this. It's there. It says at one point in that video, and correct me if I'm wrong, John, if shooters knocked less than 20 substations in the U.S., it would take out the whole power grid. That's supposed to be a true statement, correct?
Right. So they would have to have that entire map. And, once again, through well thought out planning, strategic endpoints, they would know where to start that chain of dominoes falling down if they take them out strategically, yes.
Okay. As it goes on, it says right now, it would only take shooters to take out 9 substations. That would take out the entire grid. Did they not say that?
Right. Correct.
That's a real scary thought. 9 substations ain't that many with all the substations in the U.S. And this is just for shooters, folks. This isn't even a cyber attack, okay? And they're doing this. I believe they've already shot some up at some point in Silicon Valley, haven't they?
Right. That's initially where they were focusing the attention in that broadcast. They were targeting that grid in an attempt to take out all of the major information outlets for the public internet. And today you have your economy and all of your business backed for information research through Google and Bing and many of the other major search engine providers. So by taking out that core plant in Silicon Valley, they're essentially shutting down the information highway for everybody's handheld devices. I mean, there's not a single smartphone that you get today that doesn't automatically open up to like Google or something. So, by taking that out, they essentially shut everybody's information outlet down. But once again, that's a well thought out and a well planned attack scenario. But that's not cyber attack related by any means. That's a physicality right there.
You would think that they'd all get together and try to fix this stuff, but apparently that's not being done either. So let's just turn over to strictly cyber. Now, cyber could come in many different forms, an EMP, any kind of stuff going on. You want to explain that to people so they can understand signs to look out for if it looks like a cyber attack is happening.
Right. So on the cyber threat, you have teams that work digitally on all of the back-end systems globally throughout the US and the world. It all depends on where data centers are hosted and what systems and what aspect of those systems are actually placed online on the public internet that are internet facing. So if you think about a denial of service attack, that would be, you know, like taking down, like, let's just say that somebody achieved taking down Google, right? And anybody that types in google.com in a web browser can never pull up that web page. Well, that would be a couple of clear indications that a cyber attack is happening, because Google is fully redundant, like worldwide, globally. So in order to actually kill that, somebody would have had to have infiltrated like all of the root servers publicly, or whoever's housing DNS or something like that. I don't want to get too technical, but you can tell the difference between a cyber attack and something that's more physical. So like if we're trying to compare our grid to a cyber attack, it would be like this, like are any of the distribution centers that have gone down actually down compared to chunks of the population that's just basically had their smart meters turned off at a switch or something. So if the main grids are all up, like these connecting components, then you could say that that was a cyber attack. But if the physical grid has actually just gone down physically, then you could say that that's not a cyber attack. That's something that somebody has planned out, and that's a physical action. So there are a lot of various working components in the cybersecurity world, but the trick, you know, with all this mainstream propaganda is being able to quickly decipher the difference between a physical attack versus a cyber attack. So I hope that kind of helps illustrate what I'm talking about. So, you know, like once again, if your main grid is up and still supplying power, but your smart meters, you know, have all been turned off at all your residential and your businesses, well, then you could say that's some type of cyber attack. It could even be somebody on the inside where the switchboards are, where, you know, they can send out all the commands to quickly go and turn off all of the smart meters. You know, that would be an internal cyber attack. Somebody's infiltrated a plant facility where they, you know, exec all those commands from the computer system, and they go fire some script that turns off everybody's smart meter. That would be an inside job. But, you know, so we're just distinguishing the difference between a physical attack versus a cyber attack. So, you know, another one would be like, you know, let's say that with Starlink, Elon Musk has sent up all of these Starlink satellites, and everybody's using the internet via Starlink. So if all the satellites were up there powered on and operating, but the internet for Starlink has went down, well, you could say that there's one of a couple of things happening there. Either there's a cyber attack that's unfolded that's taken out Starlink's internet capabilities, or they're having some type of major technical difficulty. But I would doubt that would happen, because there's a lot of well planned out redundancy put into efforts to bring that up before they even launch that, I'm sure. So, you know, if somebody's taking out a component like that, you could probably say that because we're dealing with something that's digitally connected at that point, that it's possible it could be a cyber attack.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that a lot. I hope everybody's listening. That's something else. I'm going to take off after a while, folks, so don't leave me. Have time for us today, okay? Listen. Whatever it is you're doing, just listen. Pay attention. That's all you got to do. Now, we're going to switch over from the cyber stuff. And once again, I want to tell everybody, if you really want to know about where you live, call them up. Call up the director of your electric department. Call up the director of your water department. Call up the mayor if you have to get these numbers. I'm sure you can find them online, though. Ask them, Just ask them. I'm sure they'll tell you. As a matter of fact, my people actually thank me for asking if they had things secure. And the head of the water department, he also told me that I should have water drawn up as of now. And I told him, I said, I'm way ahead of you. I have water drawn up 24/7, 365 days a year. But this is just one thing everybody needs to know. You need to go ahead and draw you up some water just to be on the safe side. Now, we're going to switch over a little bit and change the tone. We're going to talk about nuclear power. Now, once again, John's link I put up, you had to scroll up and get it, but please subscribe to his channel. He did an excellent video the other day. And we're not saying, or I'm not saying, and he's not saying that we're going to have a nuclear war. Okay? Get that straight. We're not saying that. But everybody is in, there's so much propaganda going on social media and mainstream media. Everybody's gone nuts. Mistakes could happen. Can you imagine what it would be like if you were over there where all of this turmoil is going on? Do you think you could think straight? Do you not think it's possible somebody might hit something by mistake? What would happen, John? How much radiation and what harm? I want you to tell everybody, just like you did in your video, what would come if someone made just one mistake around a nuclear reactor.
Okay, yeah, so this is a very, it's a very simple thing to explain, but it can also get quite complex. But I'm going to try to keep it kind of as simple as I did in the video broadcast that I did. But pretty much what we're looking at here is we have had over a period of time throughout our lifetime, like meaning yours, Shay, mine, and many others before us, nuclear power plant incidents. The Chinese have had incidents. Japan has had incidents, and Russia has had incidents. And today, even just citing some of those incidents, they are still bleeding out radiation, and things are still in a meltdown status. In fact, in Chernobyl, those concrete barriers that they have put out there are still heating up and still emitting a very large amount of radiation. And while people can still live around that area, they're still accumulating that radiation, and there are long-term exposure health side effects to that accumulated radiation. But today, we have a situation that is unfolding, which has made the nuclear situation a high stakes game for humanity. And what I mean by that is there are multiple reactors in the Ukraine. In fact, there are multiple reactors everywhere, all over the world, and in everybody's country. And the problem that we have when we get into the situation of a war, no matter which country it is, whether it's ours, the United States of America, or Russia, Ukraine, China, Japan, anybody, is when the bombs start flying or all of the power goes out, that, it won't be easy to maintain where these reactors are. Now, you would hope that there's a well thought out plan that before these events are taking place or somebody's about to infiltrate or bomb areas surrounding some of these reactors, that they can use the proper protocols to properly shut some of them down so we don't risk a meltdown like what you're seeing today in Chernobyl or Fukushima or any other place where there's been a nuclear incident. But every nuclear engineer that works in some of these plants, they understand there's many different fail-safe mechanisms to keep that plant running, but that's only if you are in the perfect scenario of we're not in a war and everybody can come to work and everybody can actively work their position in all of the different sectors of these plants to keep them in operation and smoothly going. In a time of war, you don't have that luxury because there are no rules. And as we can see right now, as Putin was capturing Chernobyl, that quickly escalated. In fact, there was a lot of bombing and shelling around these reactors, which started making things unstable again. Then there were the personnel that are working in the reactors that were also captured, now unable to do their job and their position, and they started running into more problems inside of these reactors. In fact, as the days went on, after I did that immediate bulletin, kind of on that situation and what will start unfolding with other reactors in the Ukrainian area where all of these reactors are, was that we would start to see more of them either being captured or, maybe if there's some type of resistance, maybe somebody might even do something without knowledge of how these reactors work and do some damage that could potentially start a chain reaction of more cores melting down because of negligence, either through personnel or through damages, which cause those fail-safe mechanisms to actually fail, therefore creating conditions where these cores will melt down, and then we just start having much more serious issues and consequences then. And when I say serious issues and consequences, I mean, like, just look at the simplicity of Chernobyl when that plant melted down and all of that radiation started bleeding into the upper atmosphere and then going everywhere and starting to saturate stuff. Remember that nobody got in there very easily and was able to, take care of business safely. There was a lot of death involved. A lot of machines were lost. I mean, like helicopters, machines, people, life, because it was impossible to get near it. It's the same thing with like Fukushima. Now, thankfully, they were able to, get a handle on Fukushima, but it's not over there. It's still bleeding out radiation. But right now we're in a war situation, and there aren't any rules in war. It's, kill or be killed, and that's the bottom line. And they won't care about anything except for achieving the end mission, the end goal, which is to take over everything, whatever the cost is. And unfortunately, our administration is very persistent in wanting to fuel this nuclear war right now. In fact, the mainstream media has come out and have voiced their opinion, igniting fires that we shouldn't be starting. And, like I said in one of my broadcasts about this, is that sometimes we just need to mind our own business and stay out of other affairs. But in this situation, we are dealing with a very dangerous situation, because now Russia is starting to capture all of these nuclear power plants, and we have other players on another side of the fence somewhere. We don't know who that is, but what these players are doing is they are hijacking and damaging some of these nuclear power plants in order to justify a further reason to go to war, because now somebody is creating a fallout situation, which is, going to be very destructive in nature. I mean, no matter how we spin this wheel on this event timeline, if we have multiple reactor cores melting down due to negligence and war, or other factors, just factors that could inevitably take down these reactors and create the same sequence of events like Chernobyl or Fukushima or the incident in China and many other places. Whatever it is that creates the conditions for multiple reactor cores to start melting down in a time of war, it's going to be impossible for anyone to go and put those fires out. And if they start melting down, no one will get near it. No machine and no man will be able to get near it. And if there is a war going on, the people that are fighting the war are not just going to stop fighting the war so that somebody can come and extinguish the radiation factor problem that's now unearthing itself. So it's a very dangerous situation right now, because there are many reactors out in the Ukraine. There is a war unfolding in the Ukraine. So if we get people going in and sabotaging multiple, nuclear reactors, and we start getting a lot of reactors having fallout, well, everybody understands that with the Chernobyl incident, how much devastation that was going to cause globally, worldwide, just from one nuclear power plant. Now imagine if multiple are going down, and we have just amplified and maximized our extinction level event for the human species, because everything is going to be poisoned from those events. And unfortunately, this is, I have to put in this point, because this is a point that everybody needs to really think about from a human species standpoint of view. If a nuclear warhead gets deployed and it goes off in anyone's country where there are reactors, let's just say, and we're not talking about somebody launching a nuclear warhead and bombing an actual reactor. We're talking about somebody launching a warhead. I'll try to explain it like I did in my other video really quick. Let's say that somebody launches a nuclear warhead and it can cover 5,000 miles radius squared. And you've got, let's just say, 4 or 5 reactors within that vicinity. Now, will there be people alive who are going to survive that blast, who can maintain those facilities? It's going to be pretty hard to say, because they're above ground. They're not all underground, right? I mean, the plants are above ground and not underground. You have the power, which probably will go out to some of the grids because of the electromagnetic pulse, gamma and X-ray shock waves that will come from that nuclear blast. Then you have other factors like, the rate of speed at which other destructive objects will be, amplified, at which will also be having destructive force applied to some of these reactors. But basically, there's no guarantee that you're not going to start a sequence of events when a nuclear bomb goes off, because, I mean, who really has been alive and working at a power plant today where you actually saw a nuclear warhead go off. And we could reliably say today, with 100% accuracy, what's going to happen because we witnessed it with our own two eyes, that life is going to be great. The reactor is going to survive. None of the upstream components to the reactors are going to fail, even if a nuclear blast goes off, because power is still going to be running, water is still going to be cooling down the cores. The people, who are the engineers who are operating them are still going to be alive to, do their job to get the materials out before some type of fission occurs. So there's a lot of variables and factors that have to be accounted for. But with this war, they can't. It's dynamic, and you never know what's going to happen next or what somebody is going to do. But if a warhead goes off somewhere and it starts a domino effect like that, or it just takes out any one of those variables that I'm describing to you herein, that we cannot guarantee the safety that the power plants are not going to have a meltdown. And I'm not saying that the power plants are going to explode or somebody is going to bomb them and they're going to explode and it's going to be fine. I'm not painting a scenario like that. I'm simply painting the scenario that if the conditions for maintaining it are taken out through these types of forces and means, it's going to be very destructive to the planet we're living on, to the human species, in fact, to all life on Earth. So I don't think anyone really wants to see a nuclear warhead going off anywhere where there are reactors, because of the sequence of events that could start happening after power plant failures, nuclear power plant failures start happening after something like that. That's going to be the biggest thing. And if a warhead's going off somewhere and a nuclear power plant is failing, nobody's going to be, who's going to be alive on the surface where the warhead went off to go and extinguish the fire? Who's going to be able to fly a plane over where cores are melting down and drop concrete on it? I mean, and then, you're not even looking at the fact that you don't know how much the bleed effect is going to be if those cores are melting down. That's going to be making it even more impossible to get near them. So once again, you can learn that what the reality of that is going to be like just simply by studying everything you can about Chernobyl. It was almost a Mission Impossible scenario, and really they borderline barely scraped at the very edge of getting that under control, and it's still not under control today. So and now we have a war. So the war is going to make it that much more complex in trying to extinguish a fire like that, a radioactive bleed that will be impacting the rest of life as we know it on Earth. So there you have it. That's all I want to say about the complexity of the situation and how dangerous it's going to be if we actually see a warhead going off in anyone's country. And that doesn't have to be the Ukraine's. See, even if Putin wants to attack America with a nuclear warhead, because everybody is running around talking about how big all their warheads are and how much destructive force they have and what the miles radius squared is that they can cover in distance and take things out with. It's not going to matter where anybody is on this earth. And these politicians, these presidents, these kings, these queens, all of the people in the higher position who are making decisions for world humanity, even if it's their own personal kingdom, are not thinking about the much more immediate situation, which is they're putting all of life, God's creation, in immediate danger. So I think there are a lot of forces that are watching this high stakes game outside of our own selves because uh, the stakes are much higher than we can realize or imagine right now because of the type of technology we have in this current day and age. Uh, so it's a very dangerous situation that we are in. Our species is in right now, and I think uh, we're at that heightened point, the precipice of that of our era right now that we really need to really consider what we really don't want to see. And I think everybody in power should think about that and consider that because while everyone who's in power can escape and go underground, they, cannot live long enough to survive the fallout that's going to be going out here topside with the rest of us. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that a lot. You know, sun's been going off for months. We have 2 or 3 days at a time that we don't have any kind of ejections coming at us one way or the other, whether they're little, whether they're big, flares here, there, everywhere else. The sun's not helping the radiation situation for Earth itself either. Besides that, it messes with my heart. I can tell you, I don't have to look it up. I know when it's going off and when we're receiving it. I know you've been doing a lot of stuff about recording temperatures and radiation during the last few weeks. And what have you found with that?
Okay, now this one is going to get a little more complicated because while I am a simple observer, I am just one observer out of many others. And what my observations are is that what many other scientists, individuals in well placed positions, have been making open public statements about things that we will see that we will observe. And those things are exactly what you just mentioned. We're having a lot of extreme ultraviolet radiation coming in and saturating everything. But it seems to be far more complex than just ultraviolet radiation because in science, like there are many different waveforms, many different spectrums that the sun emits light at. So those spectrums revolve over a frequency, and frequencies have an effect on everything depending on what that frequency is. So what I've been observing is we're supposed to be in winter right now, our winter season. And right now in Dallas, we have extremely cold air outside, but we have 100 degrees on the thermometer outside, but the air is extremely cold. Now, in the shade, you get, varying temperatures, right? But some odd, strange phenomenon lately has been occurring. Like it's been 20 degrees at night one day. Then the next day, it's 100 degrees. Or it'll go to like 18 degrees. Then you'll come back out the next day. And then it'll be like 60 degrees on the thermometer in the shade. But you'll go and you'll stick the thermometer in the sun and it skyrockets to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Now explain that one to me. Now some may say, well, that's, just because it's hot outside and you're putting something in the direct sunlight or it's acting like an oven. No, I've taken like these these laser temperature reading guns, and like I'll show everybody what the reading of the handle of the thermometer is, which is cold. It's like 70 degrees. what the back plane of the thermometer is. It's like, 68, 70 degrees. What the concrete is, it's like 70 or 60 something degrees. It's all cold to the touch. But the thermometer is skyrocketing to 140. And you can be in the shade and you'll be really, really cold. But when you step into the sunlight, you feel like you're getting microwaved to death and you immediately just start sweating instantly. So you know that the thermometer is not lying. Now, not all materials were being affected, right? So, like I said, the air is extremely cold outside, right? So you can walk up and you could touch certain materials and it would be extremely cold. But other materials were heating up to like 120, 130 degrees, like wood. And so I was thinking, there have been a lot of forecasts that spontaneous combustion we're going to see that a lot this year. And if you think about through simple observation, what we're seeing and witnessing right now with some of this strange phenomenon is that the conditions definitely are there for spontaneous combustion of chemicals. We've been seeing chemical plant explosions out of nowhere. Nobody can figure out like why these plants are just igniting and going up in flames. And I'm not trying to play, or add any conspiracy theories. This is just strictly science. And if you look just by these simple observations, there's something that's going on, and it can be explained with our current atmospheric situation, the sun activity with the plasma uptick, all these solar flares, but we're also receiving lots of X-rays and gamma rays. So all of these are going to play their role into igniting things like spontaneous combustion or affecting other types of matter or chemical elements. So, yeah, I hope that answers the question a little bit.
Yes, it did, John. Thank you very, very, very much. We got to take care of ourselves, but we have to take care of our earth. Trees are very important. If we didn't have trees, we couldn't live. We wouldn't have anything. Think about it. And trees are so much like us. They're so much like us. You cut a tree down, you look at all the rings in it, and what is that? It's your thumbprint, folks. It's your fingerprint. Look at a leaf on a tree. All the little veins in it, just like we got. Then look at the little branch that goes to the leaf, carrying the oxygen supply like our lungs. If we don't take care of our earth, we don't survive. Now my cat wants to get in on it. She hears me say this stuff all the time. But John, I want to thank you for the explanations that you have given today and things you have explained. I'd also like to ask you, before I move on to something else, do you think it would be wise for everyone to get some potassium iodine tablets just to be on the safe side? And if so, I'm going to tell you why I'm asking this. I looked some up yesterday, the isosat ones, okay? I can't get any for 4 to 6 weeks, and who knows if I'd get them then. If all I'm saying is, folks, if you want some, you better get some. What do you think, John?
Give me just 1 second. I'm gonna show you something here. 1 second.
While we're waiting on John, folks, stick around. Don't go anywhere, because coming up next, I'm going to get on a roll. Bear with me, okay? And we're going to wait for John to come back. Here's John right now.
Okay, sorry about that. This is what you're speaking of. These are the IOSAT radiation pills. Now, You only take these if there's some serious follow-up going on, or like one of those warheads dropped somewhere and you somehow manage to stay alive through it. Um, uh, with that said, so now that you can see this, can you re-present the question one more time to me, and then I'm going to go ahead and answer that.
Yes, I just asked, do you think it would be wise for people to get this if they don't have it to put in their emergency kits?
Yes. Right now, with the current situation that's unfolding, I would say that this would be a necessity right now. And just logically speaking, just pure logic, we don't know what tomorrow is going to hold, but we know what we can see with our own two eyes right now, and that is our administration is inciting a nuclear war. And make no mistake, they are actively voicing that in the mainstream media right now. So, that would be a clear indication, a yes to your question, that it might be a good idea to pick some of this up, because we don't know now, based on what we can see with our own two eyes, what tomorrow is going to hold regarding this situation. All right.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that a lot. And once again, I looked up that very brand just yesterday. 4 to 6 weeks before you can get it. So if you guys want some to put in your emergency kits, if you see some anywhere, you need to go ahead and pick it up. I understand it also comes in a liquid form. I'm not too familiar with that, but my suggestion would be, if you can get the tablets, to get them, because the directions are there from adults, kids, babies, right on down, what you would do if we did have a radiation emergency. John, thank you so much for being with us today, my friend. Would you like to stick around to hear what I've got to say? Because I'm going to get into some deep stuff. You're more than welcome.
Sure. I don't mind.
Okay,
I
good deal. Good deal. Okay, folks, here we go. I hope everybody's ready. Oh, before I take off, I had a question come up in here when we were talking about the electric grid. And someone wants to know, do most of our transformers come from China? I have no idea. Do you have any idea, John?
Right. So because labor is cheaper in China, that's a much higher factor in the reason why things do come from China. But if we started making our own or manufacturing our own, then we wouldn't have those problems. But there's a lot of things that we'll never understand uh, on why they are the way they are. But the answer to that question is yes.
Okay, thank you, John. Appreciate it a lot. All right, folks. Once again, no fear. This isn't to put fear in anybody. This isn't to argue with anybody. But there's too much propaganda going on. Both sides of the coin. I saw someone, my friend, put up a while ago. There's two sides to the coin, and then there's the truth. It's somewhere stuck right down there in the middle, and it's very hard to get to. Now, a lot of stuff is going on. There's no need to bicker within each other. You don't need to bicker with each other about anything. Social media and the mainstream media, they all put up propaganda. They all put it up. Everybody goes say, look at TikTok, look at TikTok. Well, you know what? There was one video, I can't remember exactly. There was this girl in it, and she was like, nothing's going on, da-da-da-da-da. Come to find out, she was lying. She wasn't even where they were fighting. Oh, you need this, you need that. I don't need any of it, because you know what? The only thing I need is this book right here. And it's all wrote down. And no, I'm not preaching. I'm going to tell you some things, though. If you want to know what's going on, read your Bible. We don't have time for that anymore. But before I even go any further, let's talk about the New World Order. We all know it's been put in place back when old Daddy Bush was in office. There's wars, there's rumors of wars. It's all in the book. It's been going on forever. And just to go back a few years, when President Kennedy was assassinated, 3 days, just 3 days after that, when Lyndon Baines Johnson was sworn in as our president, that very day, he signed the papers to send people to Vietnam to start a war. Distractions. And what it amounts to is costing people their lives. Costing people their lives, folks. Now, the Ukrainian war. Is that a distraction? Well, has anybody heard anything about the truckers lately? Remember all these big truck lines in Canada and going across America? And how about the pandemic? You heard anything about that lately? No, you ain't heard nothing about it. If you have, please tell me so I can tune in. It ain't happening. This war is a distraction. And if anybody thinks they know who is right and who is wrong, I don't care how much research you've done, you don't know if it's true. We got to go with what's in our heart and what's in our gut. Some of those people over there are in bad shape. I feel so sorry for them. We need to pray for them. We need to pray for everybody. Little babies are starving to death. And this really got under my skin. Some of the people who have dark skin, they're throwing them out, man. Throwing them out. And then you got all this has come up about in the last week and a half. The Jews are in it. Boom, boom, boom. Who knows? Who really knows? I'm not there. But it all goes back to the New World Order, folks. It ain't like we ain't known this was coming. Or try to come. And you know what? Anybody who tries to stop it, it ain't gonna happen. If you think you got some big peacemaker that's going to fix everything, well, you know what that peacemaker, if that day ever comes, is called? I think you do. And I don't want nothing to do with him. Do you know? Have you thought? This goes for the Democrats and the Republicans and all the whole mess of all of them. I told y'all for year upon year upon year, they're all in it together. No matter how sneaky and how they think they're going to clean the swamp, well, they're in it too, swimming around. They're all in it. Every last one of them. Get mad, get glad, don't matter to me. I'm trying to explain something to you. It's coming. Now, you know, I've made me some notes here. And you hadn't heard anything about the truck caravans going on. You hadn't heard anything about COVID in a while. And supposedly COVID's still out there. That's another thing. Thank you, Jesus, I never took the jab. I'm the only one that lives in my neighborhood that didn't take it, and every last one of them's had it twice. I'm clean. Hadn't had it. You know, this goes back like, you should prepare. Look, Jesus tells you to prepare. Use your intelligence he gives you. Look in the Bible, the story of the bridesmaids. 2 of them had extra oil for their lamps. 1 of them didn't. Well, that one got left behind because the other 2 were smart. They prepared. Look at the story of the people who God gave the gold to. Two of them invested it to make more money to help people, while one of them hid his money away, boy. He hid his money away, and in the end, he didn't have anything, and God bless the other two over and over again. Do for others. Prepare. Yes, food is out of this world. Not only food, for a little old tube of toothpaste 2 days ago, none of this extra whitening stuff. I got false teeth anyway, but I still like to have toothpaste. It makes my mouth feel better. Okay? But anyway, a tube of toothpaste was $5.68 when it used to be $1.50 the last time I bought it. And it's Crafts, just the old-timey kind, none of the fancies, $5.68. I don't know if you guys notice any of this stuff or not, but if you hadn't, you must be under a rock. Gas. How much is gas where you are, John?
Yeah, our gas is at like $4, and it's rising up to $5 in some places. It's pretty insane, and I think they're estimating that that's going to rise even higher than
Man, I'm telling you, ours isn't that high yet. Ours is $3.90. Might as well say 4. What's that dime going to do? Give you a drop? It's like, it's not going to matter, you know? But I'm just saying, things are going on you need to prepare for. It doesn't matter. I would suggest one of the best things anybody can invest in is some seeds to grow food. Fertilizer is going to be off the chain. Save all your garbage, mulch it around, make you some fertilizer if you can't afford some. If you find some, it's going to be skyrocketed high. Now, back to the New World Government. I told you the story about President Kennedy, Lyndon B. Johnson, then we had war. Well, behind our backs, the New World Order's been doing things all along. Okay? Look, you got to have your birth certificate, your social security number, a piece of mail, this, that, and all the other, just get your driver's license renewed nowadays. And why? Because all of that is going to go to facial recognition. And just a week ago today, I was helping my neighbor. She was trying to get some paperwork done, and she had to get it approved and everything, and she didn't know how to do it, and I helped her on her computer. Well, she had to do facial recognition on the computer before it would accept it. We are toast. We're already toast. We ain't got to wait for much more, but more's coming. And it ain't like God ain't told us it was coming. So don't act surprised. Now, the war happened right after President Kennedy. Now, the war's happening in Ukraine. And what's going on while this war's going on? Okay, supposedly Putin wants Ukraine to buffer his territory. I can understand that. Look, I'm not trying to make Putin the bad guy. I'm not trying to make all the other allied countries for the Western the good guy. I'm not trying to make anybody good or bad. It ain't there. It's a mess. Now, if he gets that, he wants it to rule his land his way, and he can reign as king until he dies. Because, you know, he was voted in, they made that law over there. He's going to be there till he dies, period. Ain't going to be no more elections. Well, everybody's trying to make out like Putin's the bad guy, so they can use it against him over here in the Allied countries and in the Western sections. So, now no one is talking about the trucks, the pandemic, and everyone's scared there might be World War III, right? some pretty bad things are going on over there. Once again, don't forget to pray for those people and around the world for their safety. Pray for Jesus to come into everyone's heart and stay with them and give them faith and give them knowledge to make it through this. Now, I've talked about the driver's license with the digital ID, and you can't get an airplane ticket if you don't have all that garbage tacked on your driver's license anymore. Now, while most people, here's the good part everybody's been waiting for. Now, while everybody is looking at what's happening in Ukraine, the International Trade and Pandemic Council, I want you guys to listen now, and this includes the WHO. They're basically, while this is all going on, this war is nothing but a distraction plus more. And I hate it because they're playing chicken with everybody's life. But it's another distraction going on. They're basically having all of, they're having this meeting, okay? The Pandemic Committee, and it includes the WHO. And if your nation signs up for this treaty that they're making right now, they're basically going to have all of your human rights, folks. All of them. And yes, there's going to be more strands of stuff that will make COVID look like nothing. They're working on all this right now. While we're all glued to the TV or glued to YouTube or glued to TikTok or glued to whatever so we can make our own judgments and own opinions, and that's all we're doing. We don't know. Do we really know the truth? Okay. I want to know, why aren't our political figures, Republican, Democrat, you name it, the whole shebang, why aren't they doing something about this? But instead, they're all in it, once again, letting it happen. Letting it happen. Now, have any of you, I'm going to ask you to put comments up, have any of you heard about any of this stuff going on? And John, have you?
About the treaty? Right. No, I haven't been following the treaty stuff very much. I've been well engrossed in the reactor situation right now. But it's definitely something that I would want to look into because, you know, when they start making changes like that, I mean, what are the other domino effects going to be once they implement those changes?
Okay, had to get my mic turned on. Well, you know, I talked about what happened with Kennedy, Johnson, Vietnam War. I've talked about what's going on now in this war. Now, they had this meeting to take place. This is what is so wild about it. The first day of March, the first day that Russia invaded Ukraine. Now, does that sound fishy or what? Think about it, people. Read the Bible. We're going to hear of wars and rumors of wars, and I tell you, when the big time war comes, ain't nobody going to be ready for it. Nobody. And I've heard you say this before. It's like, you can prepare, but you can't prepare but so much. And we all look like signs in the sky. The sky is a wonderful way to prepare for just about anything. If you take time to look up and look at it, ask God for knowledge to know what's going on. Like, in the Bible, it says a great star is going to fall. Some think it's a comet. Some think it's an asteroid. Some thinks it's this. Some thinks it's that. It could be all of that, or it may be a nuclear warhead. We don't know. That would look like a flaming star also if it came down. The Bible tells us that all the rich people, the globalists, that's who I'm talking about, will become commanders of the earth. That's in Revelation 18:23. Look it up. Don't have to go by what I say. All this stuff's going to happen, people, and ain't no little peon around us going to stop it. Ain't no need to go tear up the Capitol. Ain't no need to go do this, and there ain't no need to do that. Stay home, read your Bible, and ask for God's deliverance and knowledge to take care of yourself during times like this. He'll give it to you. Read Proverbs. That's the book of knowledge in the Bible. You want to know anything on how to do something and what you should do and what you shouldn't, how to raise your kids, how you should treat your neighbor, how you should do this and that, is all there. Now, yes, I know a lot of you are saying, I don't know, Joe. I have a lot of subscribers who don't even believe in God. That's okay. I'm not preaching. I'm not trying to convert you. I'm trying to tell you something to help yourself. I know firsthand. Been there, done that. I was a very sinful person at one time in my life. I want everybody in here. Everybody. Has God ever give you a second chance at something that you just totally screwed up, did wrong, whether it was in sickness and health or whether it was just something physical you had done to somebody, you wanted to make it up or not? Have you ever had a second chance at anything? Have you? Ah, yes, he has many times. Yes, and they're coming up. All right. Thank you, Jesus. Some of you know what's happening. Some of you know what's happening. This world we live in today, it's our way or no way, or hit the freaking highway. Well, it don't work that way. Okay? I know firsthand. I know the only reason I am here is because God let me live. The doctors gave up on me. They just left me there to die for like 24 hours before they ever did anything to me. Because they wanted my organs, and I ain't getting into that. But I'm just saying, I thank God for everything. I don't take anything for granted anymore. I had 2 chances. A lot of you don't know about this. The first chance that God gave me when I was living a bad way, I worked in my daddy's boatyard. I was 30 feet up in the air, working inside this like 80-foot sailboat. And somebody had come by, they just touched the ladder that I climbed up to get up there. But they didn't think they had disturbed it or anything. And when I put my first foot down, I fell 30 feet hanging onto that ladder on a cement slab. You know, the only thing I got out of it was one broken arm. But did I change then? No, I didn't change. I had to wait again. Well, God says, I'm going to work on you because I want you to be right. And that's when I got hit head on, going 55 miles an hour. Took a little trip. There is something after death, people. Don't think there's not. There is. Been there. I didn't go to heaven, but I went pretty close. God wasn't ready for me, and he sent me back. I felt my spirit, my body was dead when I finally did come through. Tingling in my head all the way down my body awoken. Well, that was my spirit. The New World Order wants to take the spirit away from you. Do you not understand? You want to fight the New World Order, you fight it with this book. There's one thing I want to tell you that a lot of people do all the time. And I know a lot of people think I'm nuts. That's okay. I don't really care. I've lost a lot of subscribers, but that's okay. I don't care. There's a reason for me to do this. In my heart. That's what you're supposed to listen to, folks. In my heart. Some of you, you're walking around sometimes. Before I even get this, you're walking around sometimes. You hear this little voice, but do you take time and stop to really listen to what it's telling you? No, I gotta go to work. No, I gotta cook supper. No, I gotta do this. No, I gotta play a game. No, I gotta watch YouTube. No, I got to figure out what's going on so I can spread my beliefs on what the war situation is, whether I know or not, but this is what I think it is. That's what we're doing. Do you take time to stop and listen to that voice? Because that little voice is coming from your heart. And what comes out of your heart comes from God if you have God with you. If you are trying to live a godly life, for goodness sakes, listen to Him. Listen to Him. Look, you'll laugh at this. I thank God for everything. I took a shower today. It's very hard for me, people. Very, very hard. I have to be getting a chair and get into there and get out. And when I get out, it takes me like 2 hours, sometimes longer than that, just to get a shower. When I get out of the tub, while I'm sitting there drying off, I thank Jesus. That's the first thing I do for helping me get my shower and not get hurt. Because I could very easily hurt myself and die when I'm trying to take a shower. You know, we take this for granted. Oh, I'm going over here. I'm going to see John and Sally next week, and we're going to the Bahamas, and we're going to party down. Well, that sounds great. Have a good time. You can do it. But you shouldn't do it without God's will. Because if God don't want you to do that, you're not going to do it. He's going to put a stumbling block in your way. Now listen to this. This is in James, chapter 4. Can't hardly see. Verse 23. Look here, you people who say, today or tomorrow we're going to a certain town and we'll stay there a year. We will do business there and make a profit. How do you know what will happen tomorrow? For your life is like the morning fog. It's here a little while, then it's gone. What you ought to say is, if the Lord wants us, we will live to do this or that. Otherwise, you will be boasting about your own plans, and all such boasting is evil. Remember, it is a sin to know what you ought to do and then not do it. Look, if I have to run to the store, I tell my little cat, I'll go, Hannah, I got to run to the store. I'll be back soon as I can with the good Lord's will. I say it wherever I'm going to do something. Look, somebody could take me to Walmart, and if I felt the devil's presence or something evil, I would just go, devil, get away from me in the name of Jesus Christ, my Savior. Now, y'all think I'm a crazy old lady, but you know what? I've had those evil feelings before of something evil around me, bad doings around me, something I didn't want anything to do with. Right here in my house. I've said it. It's gone away. The devil can't stand it when you proclaim Jesus as your Savior. Now, something's happened today, and I want everybody to get together, and we'll say a quick prayer. But I want everybody to get together and really concentrate on this. Everybody knows Jersey Dolphins. Well, his daughter had a baby, and now she's back in the hospital, and she has to have another operation. He's very worried about her. Jersey Dolphins is not here today because he is taking care of his brand new baby grandson. So please, please keep him and his daughter in your thoughts and prayers. I would appreciate it a lot. Before we have a quick word and close, because we've been on here a long time today, and thank you people for showing up. We got 41 in here right now. You guys have not left. Thank you for listening. Thank you for taking the time to stop and listen. If we only just listen to our hearts, to our minds. If you don't know what to do, or you feel depressed, or you are in despair, God will help you, but He's not going to help you if you don't ask Him. And it may not come that minute, it may not come that day, it may not come that week, but it'll come. And when it comes, it's going to be better than you ever asked for. There's always a reason for bad things that happen. And people like to argue with me and say, there are no miracles. Well, you know what? There are so, and they're from God. What about the Red Sea? Oh, well, it was low tide. Oh, the wind blew up and blew the water out, blah, blah, blah. But you know what the main thing is? It happened right on time for those people to go through and cross. Do you think those people back then knew it was low tide? I don't think so. Do you think those people back then knew the wind was going to blow at a certain time so they could walk through? I don't think so. The only thing those people had was their trust and their faith that they would be protected from God. And sure enough, soon as they got there, boop, and soon as they left, it filled back up. So come on. Tide lasts longer than that, okay? Get real, folks. Get real. Just get real. Book of Proverbs. You want to know something, how to do something, get yourself some help? I can tell you another story. People write me all the time, Joel, you need to do this, you need to do that. Well, you know, I go and look at it, and I appreciate all my email, and it doesn't upset me if I see something that maybe I don't agree with. I still look it up, and I look at it. And that's the way all of us should be. Don't hold. Look, we've been talking about cyber attacks, nuclear attacks, the New World Order. If something actually happened big time, and something happened to you, would you want to leave this world mad? I wouldn't. Would you want to leave this world mad at somebody? I don't agree with a lot of things that people do. Look, I got a family member that if I died probably wouldn't come to my funeral. I know all about it, people. I still love them. I don't wish them any harm. I just don't want to hang around their ways. You don't want, if something were to happen to anyone at any time, you never want to leave in a bad way. That's the last thing you want to do. And when you leave, you want to have Jesus in your heart. And after I was just a real sinner, man. I'm just telling you. And when I got hit, I've had Jesus in my heart ever since. And He ain't going to go nowhere, and I'm going to keep Him there. Just the other day, I read the Bible for 8 hours. No, I don't do that every day. But I get on these binges, and once you start, you can't stop. And trust me on the book of Proverbs, if you want to know how to do something the right way, it's all right there for you. It's all right there for you. So, John, I'm going to shut up. Is there anything else you'd like to add today before we have a prayer and leave?
Yeah, I've just got one final closing thought on the sun solar stuff that you had brought up earlier. I'll make it really quick. That's the geoengineering topic where we're trying to, the leaders are trying to do something good for humanity, and while we're doing something good, we're still getting, wherever there's a plus, there's going to be a minus. So there's an experiment that I did. It was called dangerous plasma event unfolding experiment. And so we all know that by our observation that we're seeing these weird radical temperature extremes and all this solar activity with the sun uh, taking off like a rocket. And so they have these geoengineering planes that go and they reflect all the solar radiation back out into space. And while that benefit is providing us a benefit to helping things be less combustible at surface level based on the observations that we're seeing today, that it's also increasing the lightning activity at an extreme level. And the reason for that is because the particulates that are falling out of the sky, making everything look gunmetal, is creating more conditions where everything is becoming to be more easier to be stricken by lightning. And as these storms pick up and increase, that the geoengineering operations are going to enhance our dangers for these lightning conditions, which in turn affects the power grids. It affects everything because we're dealing with highly charged plasma. But that's all I wanted to add in there, just for everybody to just keep in mind when they're thinking about the planes or the chemtrail stuff and the geoengineering stuff, is that while they're trying to help do something with the sun, the solar condition, it is helping by a few degrees. But it's also creating another condition with plasma and lightning. And that's very visible today on all of the monitors. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you so much, John. Thank you for being here today. I really appreciate it. You sharing your thoughts, your knowledge with us. Once again, everybody, I put his link up. Just scroll back up somewhere in the top. You'll find it in this chain. And also that 60 minutes video that just aired a few weeks ago, just last month. Very interesting stuff. You need to check it out. The link's up there. Now, before we get out of here, let's have a word of prayer. Don't anybody leave yet. Let's just have a word of prayer right quick, okay? Dear Jesus, dear God, my Father, Savior, and Creator, I thank you for this another day of life that you blessed me with, as well as all of my friends and people around the world. Be with the people in Ukraine, be with the people in Russia and all around the world. Everyone, pray that Jesus may come into everyone's heart. He's always there. He'll always listen. He'll always help us. He tells us plainly, don't worry about everything. But he does tell us plainly to prepare, like with the bridesmaids. He tells us to be smart, like the people he gave gold to. He tells us everything we need to know. And what a better teacher to have. There's not one. So please pray that Jesus comes in everyone's heart and take time to listen. When you hear that little voice in your head, just take a few seconds to listen to it. So many people don't listen. I know Jesus. I know for a fact too. I know I understand. Like people will watch my video and they'll say, "Oh, we watched the whole thing." Then they'll ask me a question about it, so I know they didn't, and I can look at it and tell they didn't watch it. People don't listen. I know, God, and I'm trying to help people to understand they need to listen, watch, and stay safe with your help. Be with Jersey Dolphin's daughter. Help her through the surgery she has to go through. Make her heal and be healthy to be home soon with her new son. Take care of us all, dear Jesus. Be with all the sick and all the poor. Help heal the sick. Give the poor food and shelter. Watch out for people, dear Jesus, in every way around the entire world. Keep us all safe in every way, always. We thank you, dear Jesus, for dying on the cross so that one day we can be in heaven with you. We love you and we thank you for everything you do for us. Amen. Okay, here we go. I am so happy everybody got here. Whoa, who just gave me a $50 donation? I missed that. Where did that come from? I got to scroll up there and thank them people personally. Michelle W. Man, thank you, Michelle. I appreciate that so. Peace and love from Texas, Shadowburn. She lives in your neck of the woods. So, thank you so much for all of them, no matter how big or how small. I appreciate it so very much. People, what you see, what you hear, be smart about it. That's all I can say. Nobody really knows what the deal is. We think we know, but if it's what we think it might be, and when it comes to the New World Order, we all know it's coming anyway. We got to buckle down. It's kind of like those movies of end times where you see everybody running around like little rats from place to place just because they believe in God, stay alive. Who knows? At one point it may get that way. Maybe not in my lifetime, but the way things are rolling, who knows? So I've seen things that I never thought would happen. I'm sure you have too, Shadowburn. You can just nod your head. It's like, things are happening, folks. It's all happening. So please be safe. Thank you for coming today. Thank you for hanging. Thank you, Connie Lynn. Thank you for hanging in here with us. And thank you, Shadowburn, for being here. I want to thank all of my moderators, the I Am of Me, Sister Golden Hair, and Connie Lynn. Thank you so much. Got to have those moderators. They're very important. And I love them all, and I love all of you. Bye-bye. Stay safe. Catch you later.